Make sure I turn it on here. Can you hear me? Mike Tyson famously said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. I've been a professional boxer, and public speaking reminds me a lot about boxing. Nobody wants to do it. You prepare for a date in the future, you prepare hard, you study your opponent, you learn your stage, you come into the arena under the lights, and it's go time. There's no going back. So here we are. Growing up in Ireland, I learned to appreciate a good story. So I have some stories to share with you today. 3 powerful stories about embracing change and uncertainty, going through vastly different careers, from computer science to wind power engineering, to professional boxing, and finally to the work I do today, which is work with breath and cold water, especially. Going through these changes, I had no idea what I wanted to do or where I wanted to do it. I felt lost and ungrounded. Step by step, making these uncomfortable changes, I found a sense of alignment and purpose, which I've carried forward into my business today. Before I share my first story, I'd love us to join together here and get into our bodies. If you come to your feet and join me in a short exercise. Take a moment here, let everyone get settled. Take a moment to tune in. Notice how you feel. How are you showing up here this morning and today? Feel your feet on the earth, the support of Mother Earth. As you let go of some tension in the shoulders. Let's take 3 breaths here together to join up as one coherent community and sync up our nervous systems. Let's take a breath in. Let it go. Take a breath in. Let it go. And take another breath in. And let it go. We'll move off a bit of energy from the morning. Starting with just shaking up the limbs, shaking up the arms. The children are masters of moving energy, constantly having tantrums and making sounds. Shake out the legs. We become experts at containing it. So let's let it go, but I know we've been sitting for a while. Start with a little bit of tapping up and down the torso to the elbow blade there. Waking up the breathing channels, coming into the ribs, have a little side bend, creating more space for more breaths. Into the back. We're starting to connect from the head and every part of our body into the hips. See if we can let go of the mind here. Come down the legs. Waking up the circulation system. Lastly, I'll come off the stage for this one because I don't want to break it. This one's called the boxer's balance. It's what every fighter does before they go in the ring. They've figured out that this is a great way to calm the nervous system. And it's simply just bouncing up and down. Letting go of the shoulders. Letting go of the legs. Fair fraction. Beautiful. Close down the eyes, tune in again, and notice how you feel. I invite you to set an intention for today, for this practice, for the next 45 minutes with me and beyond. What's something that you want to call into your life? What's one way you want to show up today? What's one quality you want to embody? Let's tune in for one moment and see what comes through. Whenever you have something, whatever comes up is perfect, valid. Whenever you have something, you have a seat. So it's you need. Thank you for participating. My first story, I take you to Manhattan, New York City in the year 2008. I arrived over from Ireland. I was about to embark on an exciting new journey. I'd left the field of computer science. I just completed a master's in renewable energy engineering. And I was about to study the natural world, the air and the energy in air, and Mother Nature itself. It seemed like a great step for me, a great transition to leave teeny tiny computer screens to big turbines and the environment. I got into the office 30 floors up. First day I was met with disappointment when I seen a familiar sight of computer screens everywhere and workers hunched over their desk with their shoulders up, typing like maniacs. I thought, damn it, should have known. I had some exciting site visits that kept me going, but right from day one I felt I'd made a mistake. But I had a plan. And I did the master's, and I went back to college, and this was the plan. I had a work visa. I couldn't give up on this just yet. 3 years later, I'm still at this job. I'd been sent to the West Coast to live, and then back east, and now I arrived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I thought, Pittsburgh, what am I doing here? The discomfort I felt on day one intensified to the point that I was in a lot of pain in my body. I had very extreme stomach cramps that were unexplained, couldn't be explained by a doctor. I knew something was amiss in my life, and my body was starting to move. I didn't know what that looked like. Like many Irishmen, I arrived in the pub that night and started to feel a little bit better. There was a fight on TV. The fight was the Filipino Manny Pacquiao fighting back in 2011. That stirred something in me. I remembered growing up boxing as a teenager in Ireland. I left that sport feeling a bit incomplete. I knew I didn't give it everything I had. But the years passed by through university, through work, getting very academic and serious about things. It almost seemed like a fantasy that had passed. I got chatting to an older gentleman with a flat nose, and I knew right away he was a boxer. It's a telltale sign. And he directed me, or he told me about a gym called 3rd Avenue in downtown Pittsburgh. I felt compelled to go down 2 nights later, Monday night. I walked down the stairs. I was met with the astounding attack of sounds and smells that comes from a boxing gym. The sounds of rhythm, the rope, the jump rope, the speed bag, and the heavy bag. And the bell that signifies stopping and starting of action, hard work. Then there was the smell, a very unique smell I'd never smelled it anywhere else. And the stronger the smell, the more legitimate the gym. It was old leather mixed with blood and sweat. Never smelled it anywhere since. I introduced myself to the coaches and said, I used to box in Ireland years ago. And very quickly they said, oh yeah, you want to go in the ring? Show us what you can do. I agreed to that, but I felt a lot of apprehension, a lot of discomfort, nerves, tension. I hadn't boxed in many, many years. And I could see my opponent, of course, he looked like Zeus, and he was very prepared and confident. It was just another night at the gym for him. I went in, the bell went, and something channeled through me, and it released some kind of ferocious energy that I don't know where it came from. I don't even know what I did in there. But I know I got out of the ring, I had a feeling of being alive. Feeling like I had some kind of primal activation. I just challenged something that wasn't me. At that moment, a coach shouted over, I'll work with him. I'll train him. He became my mentor, my teacher, my guide. We worked hundreds of hours side by side. We learned many valuable lessons that started with boxing and quickly became about life. Learning about the importance of breathing. With 60 seconds to recover between rounds, the stakes are high. If you don't breathe well, you're going to get punched in the face. So that worked as a good motivator for me to breathe. I learned about the nervous system and how even in a fight-flight sport where naturally the fight-flight system is very active, it's even more important to be able to turn off, to be able to relax. And this is a lesson I've carried through into business and entrepreneurship, as I used to think as an employee at my 9 to 5 it'd be great to have a flexible schedule. And then I realized I became married to my own ideas and it was taking them to bed with me. It was very hard to let go and turn off. So fighting taught me that you can never be fully on if you can't turn off. You're always only partly on. So you have to be able to turn it off and then channel it at the right time. I remember that in my body and I come back to that. I was fortunate to be blessed to have a good team around me, constantly positively brainwashing me and speaking to me in a way that I was the person I wanted to become. Any reinforcements just propped me up. I felt very grateful to have this team and to be blessed with this opportunity, and how it all came in literally one moment. And I thought, how did I get here? What was it that was compelling me from the office to the pub, to the old guy, to the gym, to the ring? Something was pulling me, and it was my body, it wasn't my mind. Before I share how I got here, I do have another perspective from what I just shared. It's a 1-minute video I'd love to play from the perspective of my coach.
Jim Smith, I said, the only good thing right at this point, he hasn't been beaten up because he's been out of it for such a long time. They decided to let him spar one night with this other fighter who was down there. And it was like somebody unleashed a caged animal. He came out of the corner, and this other fighter was known for beating people up. And he tried, and Cian just hauled off and almost put him to a wall, literally almost put him to a wall. And Jimmy looked at me and said, "Do you think you training?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll train him." What he showed, you can't teach somebody. You can't teach somebody to have what they used to call a long time ago a killer instinct, or the instinct to want to fight.
That's the moment captured. Like I said, I have no idea what that force was pulling me. Well, I do have an idea now, which takes me to my next story. Take you back to when I was 4 years of age. I know there's some of you that can't quite see me here. I should come over. I was 4 years of age. Take you to London, England. This is the story of challenge and trauma in my life. We moved from Ireland to England as a family in the late 1980s at this time, and there was some political tension between Ireland and England. We went to the playground, and like we always did, me and my brother played on the swings. Two boys came and started calling us names, told us to go home. And very quickly escalated. They got their father, who came out and became aggressive with us, calling us names, and my mother stood up and told us to get back. Stand behind your bikes, just so I remember it. The man proceeded to get aggressive and he punched her mum in the face. fell to the ground. I was in shock, confusion, disbelief. Didn't know how to process that as a young boy. We didn't talk about it as a family, so it got lodged deep in my subconscious and very neatly tucked away. I craftily diminished the experience and almost forgot about it completely. Now I have a son myself, just a little bit younger than I was, and I can understand the weight of what happened. So life went on, we did the best we could, we didn't talk about it. We moved house. In fact, it got word out of the community and there was an offer by an Irish group to take care of this man on my mother's side. So we moved house, moved to a safer neighborhood, and we moved a lot after that, following my dad's work as an engineer. And when we moved to rural Ireland, I discovered the sport of boxing. To me, it seemed like a conscious decision. Boxing was on TV, there was a guy doing well. I lived in a small town, I had time on my hands. But I know now that was the unresolved trauma from the incident with my mom that was pulling me to protect. And that's what that feeling was in the office. Got in a lot of trouble as a teenager, drank, did a lot of drugs, got high quite a bit. We got by, we learned from each other, we were missing ownership and guidance and mentorship. Went through the ranks, got through college, picked some careers that seemed like they were good choices for a stable job, but later discovered they weren't what I was meant to be doing. So thank you for holding space. That was another little bit of a heavier story. I'd like to bring us to our feet again and just to move that energy just a little bit. This is how wild animals move energy quickly and just shake it off, just like we did. Because that's my story, it's not yours. Let it go. Yeah, just a little bounce. Well, maybe we can let out a little sigh or two here as well. Vibration, that's another way of moving energy. Beautiful. Have a seat. Yeah. The lessons of boxing just continued. I was learning so much. It was becoming clearly evident to me that these were life lessons. Boxing was not the end goal. Boxing was the vehicle to train and the challenge to train for life. I had no idea what life had in store for me, but I knew that there was something else calling me. The tunnel vision required for a fighting sport was beginning to soften, and that even the chip on my shoulder was beginning to melt away a little bit as I physically moved a lot of energy. So I started to think holistically about life, about business, about meeting a partner, starting a family. My parents had recently moved to Vancouver, so Vancouver was. I made the decision to come up. I left with plenty left in the tank in that sport, but I promised that that would be applied to something else. I didn't know what it was. I had a plan again. I went back into the office into engineering, just across the street actually. It was pretty surreal to walk past the office on my way here. This time the body said, no way, it's here. 1 week ago you were in having your last professional fight, now you're sitting at the desk taking orders. It's not their work. So out of frustration and desperation, I did some Googling and I found a personal growth weekend workshop. And on the last day, I was told to show up with a pillow and a blanket and don't eat. Had no idea what I was getting myself in for, but it turned out it was breath work. Went into the beginner's mind. I followed instructions. I was told to lay down and breathe in and out continuously and just keep letting go. I remember that, just keep letting go, letting go, letting go. I went into the journey, I experienced some discomfort, some challenge, a lot of tension in my body. My right hand locked tight in a fist and would not release. I was encouraged by the facilitators to just let it go, but it was like a rock solid and wouldn't release. It was a metaphorical representation of hanging on to the fight of my life. Eventually, a facilitator physically pried my hand open. And when the hand opened, it met with a rush of energy and a feeling of aliveness. I started to have some images and some memories. And the incident with my mom came up strong, the whole thing. I started to cry for the first time in many, many years. I think it was 10 years. I cried so much. I cried. And then I cried about the fact that I hadn't cried so many years. And how there's probably a lot of other people, especially men, in that boat as well. And I felt so light after crying. It just felt like such a shame to hold on to that. It actually felt really good. I had a little smile after. And then I giggled. The giggle turned into laughter. And the laughter became hysterical laughter. And laughed uncontrollably for must have been about 5 minutes. I was laughing at the story of my life and how it seemed so easy in that moment to let it go. But I don't believe in overnight healing. I think the boxing and all of it done, it prepared me for that moment. I came in ready to really just let go, because this stuff is right at the surface. That's why I believe we get triggered so easily. Because everything's there ready to go, but we're masters at holding it back. And this time I showed up ready to let it go. I had a visual of walking across the road and placing big boulders in the way so to make it as hard as possible to get over there. And then I just decided to step aside and just walk across. And that was when the laughter came in. It seemed so easy. After that came a lot of clarity. I thought about air. AIR. And the role that air had in my life. I studied it academically for years, how to get energy from air through a wind turbine. I experienced it physically in the boxing ring for survival, recovery, performance. And now I experience it as a powerful healing modality. So I could not deny the power of air. I had all three angles to challenge any skepticism. I decided I wanted to experience more of this. Why wouldn't I? I felt euphoric, I felt high. And I'd been high a lot in my life, and this felt even better than that. And there was no side effects. Sign me up. This became the new calling, breathwork. How did I pursue this? Do it more. But I felt some resistance. Such extreme changes to go from engineering in the head, boxing very much in the body, and now to this sort of healing world. What I had seen in the space of breathwork didn't fully resonate with me. There was a certain type of offering that I saw. I mean, I guess growing up we might have referred to it as airy-fairy. Something that seemed a little bit ethereal and not really my jam. So I wasn't certain if where I would fit in that space. Then I encountered this man. Some of you might be familiar with the Iceland Wim Hof. See a few nods. I'm sure plenty of us are familiar with this guy. He's cold water master. But he came onto the scene. He was offering breathwork and he was offering cold water. I looked at him and I thought, maybe I can't just show up as I am. He was this authentic, wacky guy, very different to what I'd seen. But then there was the cold as well, because breathwork was powerful, but I was missing the adrenaline and excitement of boxing. And the cold offered a great substitute to that. It was intimidating. I didn't really want to do it. It kind of seemed like an opponent at the start, something I had to overcome. There's a way of constantly challenging myself. It was accessible. You don't need any equipment, any time, or even any money. You just gotta flick the shower. You just get some wrist mobility to access that tool. There's no side effects. Again, I could do this for my whole life, whereas boxing has definitely an expiration date. So now I had this combination, this 1-2 punch. This felt an alignment. This was appealing to both sides of me. The one that wanted to do their challenges, go up mountains, sit in ice baths, and the one that wanted to be more compassionate and help people up and help people up level. And now I had the aligned offering, aligned practice. Shortly before that, share one more short story. It was again the fighting sport that evoked something in me. When I just decided to go to Las Vegas, I lost the last job, I should say. I was let go from that, probably the best thing that happened to me. We went to Las Vegas with some friends. We went to see an MMA fight. This time it was Irish fighter Conor McGregor, who was much more popular back then. He was fighting against Jose Aldo. It was his most formidable opponent to date. He was lighting the world on fire, and he predicted that he would knock him out in the first round. I was fortunate to be sitting 8 rows back from the octagon, really close to the action. I don't go to many big fights, and I've never sat that close. I seen, he said, not only did he predict it, he predicted frame by frame that he would do it. And I seen him do that, not just in the first round, but in the first 13 seconds. And I was blown away by the level of manifestation that he showed on that stage, that level. Again, it invoked something in me. I don't want to fight, I don't want to be a fighter anymore. Whatever that is, I want some of that. I came back, put the head down, sobered up. Thankfully, I met my wife shortly after. Carolyn, a former professional dancer and the boxer came into union and in alignment, both healing our own bodies from our sports and dance, and came together to create a business around this offer. So I want to share a framework that I have used for understanding my own stories, and that has been discovered as a common theme around the world of ancient mythological books and script texts. It's across all cultures, and it's inherent in every one of you as well. This is the story of the hero's journey. It begins with an ordinary life, and we get a call to adventure, a call to do something meaningful, something different, something great. We meet resistance, eventually we say yes to the call. We embark on the quest, we encounter great challenges. We begin to overcome those challenges, usually with the help of a mentor or a guide who takes us into deep waters, new challenges we've never experienced before. We come out the other end and start to integrate the life lessons, and we return to the village and we share the bounty that we've hunted or the knowledge that we've acquired. So if I reflect back on the stories I've shared today, the first one as a boy in London, I lived an ordinary life at the playground, and I was shocked into a shift in my nervous system. I lacked the mentorship and guidance to process that trauma, and I lacked the tools to work through that. So you get shot back into ordinary life, and life continues. You don't get to complete this circle. The next story is, as a young adult going from the office in Limpower into boxing. But that was my ordinary life. I was called to the gym to box. Crossed the threshold with that spar. I was rewarded with a mentor after I received the guidance and mentorship that I needed to overcome these great challenges. What I lacked at that point is a village, a place to call home. And so these lessons never got fully integrated and shared with others. The last story about my breathwork journey, I was once again in the office, and I got called to the workshop on breathwork. In the journey, I met challenges, but I was helped by the facilitators and the guides to overcome these challenges, to start to integrate these lessons. Now I had a place to call home, which is Vancouver. I had a community to share this with. And so I started to share it with others. And this then stemmed into the business that we own today. So I felt in alignment. I was sharing what had benefited me when I was practicing, and I was just sharing it with the community. So things happened relatively easily. We had our challenges. We expanded in January 2020 as one example. But we have more resources to handle those challenges because we were working in alignment. Things started to happen, we came together, of course, the space just found us. It just seemed easier, and there was a flow that was happening. And the hero's journey can be one massive event, or it could be a repeated cycle of events in life. So there was a flow to our business, a flow to our life. It's difficult to change direction. It's uncomfortable, but on the other side of discomfort is growth. If we can steer our vessel so that we're downstream, as the nursery rhyme goes, we can row the boat gently down the stream. So having the courage to change direction can make the work a lot more easeful. So these are my stories I've shared, but these are inherent in you as well. This is in our DNA. So let's take a moment here just to tune in with yourself and reflect on your own hero's journey. What is one time in your life when you've gone through a cycle like this, when you've been living the status quo, knowing you should be doing something different, and you followed that? Just take a moment here to see if anything comes through. And there'll be more time today to think about this, if not right now. Take a moment to reflect on any mentors that you've had along your way as successful entrepreneurs who I know have had the call to do something different. You wouldn't be here where you are if you did not. Take a moment to thank those mentors, those guides, whether they're in person or online or in Mother Nature. Thinking about who is our community that we want to share our gifts with. Perhaps starting with this community right here of like-minded entrepreneurs. So I'll leave you with this quote. Powerful quote, one of my favorites, by Joseph Campbell, the founder of the Hero's Journey. Follow your bliss, and the universe will open doors where there were only walls. I experienced this in my body, stepping into the ring, and then again in other aspects. What is your story? What is your call to adventure? What is your body telling you? and how they come more into alignment. Let's place our hands on our heart. Think about something that we're really truly grateful for in our lives. And let's take 3 breaths together to close out as a community. Let's take a breath in. Let it go. Breathe in. Let it go. And breathe in. Let it go. Thank you for listening.